What up, it's Matt, Taco Potato Mustang. I'm gonna install a Go Fast Bits blow-off valve GFB on a 2023 Hyundai Elantra N. So quick disclaimer, I actually already installed this and I'm in the middle of trying to install it. And this is a fucking huge pain in the ass. God damn it. Kind of going through the process again because when I tried to record a video earlier, I definitely left out some stuff. And I wanted to make a couple comments on the instructions so that if anybody is also doing this installation, they're a little bit more prepared, especially if you're not super mechanically inclined. So this is the GFB Hybrid Part T9210. In the instructions, they refer to the factory blow-off valve as a, I guess it's not really a blow-off valve, but it's a diverter valve. Or to make it easier, you should remove the airbox. This is the airbox for the intake. I just want to note one thing. I have the car up on ramps because I just changed the oil, and I also removed the splash guard right there because after doing this the first time, the original time, without ramps or jack stands, I did everything from above, which is kind of what it recommends in the instructions. Like, I don't think I have to read it again, but when I was doing this, I kept having to lean over the engine bay, and at the end of it, my back was fucking killing me. So I thought, when I was doing it, I was like, I wonder if there's an easier way to do this, like from below. So let me show you what this looks like with the airbox out of the way, like where the factory diverter valve is and like where the blow-off valve goes, and then show you, what the visibility is like from below the car with on the ramps with the splash guard out of the way. One thing I want to note, it says that you're supposed to remove the two plastic pins, this and this, and then also the hose clamp for the airbox. That's fairly straightforward. These are fairly straightforward, just trying not to break them. And then it also says there's 3 bolts. One of them actually 2 of them I already have out. One of them is right here. You can see like it's what mounts the airbox to the frame or the subframe, whatever you want to call it. There's another one back here. These 2 are fairly easy to reach with an extension definitely helps. So I have a couple of extensions here, and this is the one that is a pain in the butt if you don't have an extension, just because it's so narrow. And then if you have just a regular socket, you don't have a lot of room to turn it because of how narrow that is and how little space there is, like right here. Getting the 3rd one here. I have my light cover up. It's kind of difficult to do with one hand, but whatever. This one is just a pretty standard Phillips head. Okay, you can see this is pretty loose here. Just want to note that this is actually a plug that comes with a kit. I had this hose installed previously. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So there's clip here, and then you can just pull up the airbox and then probably detach it from the intake hose. Hang on. Okay, it's just takes a little bit of finagling, easier with 2 hands. Here's the air filter. And since I have these 2 little clips here out, which I just removed with a flathead screwdriver, and all 3 of the bolts, I can just remove the rest of the factory airbox pretty easily. And okay, so this, if you're looking at just this area right here, it looks like there's lots of space. But if you look down at where, so you can actually see the the Go Fast Bits blow off valve is right here. We got this tiny ratchet down here, but it was not easy to get the fourth nut from the factory valve, and you can see that it's kind of separating. I'm doing this video all out of order, but whatever. There's one more tiny hose clamp. Here is the GFB hybrid valve versus the OEM valve. And you're supposed to make sure that this brown, I guess it's an O-ring, even though it's not shaped like an O, is in the groove on the underside of the valve, or on the underside of the blow-off valve, whatever it's called. Let me show you what the factory one looks like. This is the factory valve. It's pretty small, doesn't do a lot in terms of like noise, in terms of psh psh noise. And you know, the instructions, I will say they're pretty straightforward. So I would say the two things that were the biggest pain in the ass, whatever, in installing this thing is one, this, I didn't believe this is a radiator hose. This radiator hose is extremely annoying. Like trying to get access, so you see bolts that went into the piece that holds the valve to the hose or whatever. Like tightening those is a huge pain in the ass. Oh my God. So yeah. So I do think like leaning over and trying to do this stuff is like brutal on your lower back. Let me show you like what it looks like from below. So I think you can see the blow-off valve a little bit better. You can see a little trumpet extension on there. This is, I'm not sure how much easier it'd be to like tighten down the hardware from down here, but I think at least it would be less painful on your lower back, at least for someone like me who's taller. If I were to do this whole job again, I think I would probably start on the floor and you know, have the car on ramps and remove the splash guard. So yeah, but what I'm doing right now is, let me show you. So the way I had it set up before is I just had the recircuit. So they give you some instructions on like changing the sound. So there's like 3 different ways you can do this. It's for silent, fully circulated operation, leave the recirc hose connected and swap the trumpet for the threaded plug. So the trumpet is the thing you can see on the side already. And then it wants you to do like, I think you use this plug on the, gosh, it's super dirty. This plug, I didn't want it to be quiet because that's the whole reason I the reason I got a blow-off valve, so I could hear the psh psh. So then there's the next one is for full atmosphere venting and maximum noise, plug the recirc hose with a supplied hose plug and install the screw-in plug in place of the hybrid recirculated something outlet. So I think, and then the last one is 50-50 venting and moderate sound. Keep the recirc hose connected and the trumpet installed. That's what I've had. So I just had the recirc hose installed in the that goes into the intake, and I have the trumpet installed on the blow-off valve itself. And overall I think that sounds pretty cool. It's you know, I'd say it was pretty much the sound that I was looking for when I ordered this thing. So I'm happy with it. I think, but what I want to do is I want to see what the full atmosphere venting and maximum noise sounds like. So I'm gonna try to disconnect the recirc hose at the blow-off valve without, you know, moving stuff around too much. It might be a little bit of a pain to get to that hose clamp, but we'll see. Okay, so I did actually ended up getting it from up here, of course, ironically. I got the hose clamp pulled up out of the way. So now I just need to loosen the hose on the actual blow-off valve, which, if I remember when I put it on the first time, it was a pain in the butt. So hang on. Jesus. Okay, I actually ended up unscrewing this, which I completely forgot that was a thing. So I guess you just have to twist it around until this comes undone. And then you can see the opening there. I think I just got to put the plug in and then make sure the hose clamp is on here and then reinstall the thing, and then we'll see how it sounds. Okay, so this is the plug. Although now I'm wondering, like, so I'm looking at the picture and it seems like actually I might need to have this there and then put the plug on there, but let me see, or excuse me, this, and then let's see, hang on. Okay, this is the other piece. So I'm assuming that I need to put this back on and then put the plug in. Actually, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I was looking at the wrong picture just because it's like, whatever. So I guess I just need to put the plug in the, back in the blow-off valve, and then this does not need to be in there unless I have the recirc hose connected, so. Okay, so you can see, probably should get a coin or a screwdriver to make that a little bit tighter. So it definitely seems like if you have so the OEM screws for the valve are green, and then there's some other stuff here that's also green, but you can see on the new one, it's a different screw design, different color, in case that was confusing earlier. But one thing you can see that, like, if you have that hose out of the way, there's definitely some more room to, like, tighten down the hardware. So I can't remember if I took it out all the way when I did it previously, but yeah. I just got that plug in there, and getting that plug in with that freaking hose clamp is a lot more of a pain in the ass than I expected. So just keep that in mind. I put the hose clamp on first and then slowly got the plug into the hole. All right. Okay, I'm gonna put everything back together, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there is the plug. Hose is missing on the floor, whatever. Now we just need to put the splash guard back in and take it for a drive, see how it sounds. So yeah, there's a quick run through of how the GFB blow-off valve sounds in different drive modes. I don't think there's a huge difference between the way it sounds when it's in regular mode versus like sport or N mode. So I don't know if maybe if it sounds different to you, feel free to weigh in the comments, but I think it might be a little bit louder in N mode, but it's hard to tell. But overall, I think it's a pretty good product, basically what I was looking for when I ordered it. I think if I were to do it again, I'd probably get the one that they make a version that you can turn, there's like an electronic controller, you can turn it on and off, which I don't having it on all the time doesn't bother me enough, at least not yet, to consider upgrading to that. It's also like twice as expensive. So yeah, if you don't really care that much about having it on all the time, you'd probably be fine with the hybrid versus the one that has like the module control or whatever it's called. Yeah, so I'm happy with it. Installation's pretty straightforward. A little bit of a pain. I would recommend at least having the option to put the car on ramps or jack stands so you can access stuff from below versus just leaning into the engine bay the whole time. But yeah, pretty happy with it, and I'd recommend it if you're like me and this is your first car you've ever owned with a turbo and you really want to have the psh sound. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching my video. Keep an eye out for more on the Fox Body Mustang project and the Dude Stang and the Elantra and whatever else. So peace out.